Let's get started. Thank you for hitting the recording. Welcome, everybody. My name is Alicia Taylor-Jones. I'm the NAWO Mentoring Manager. I'm delighted to be running this session today to give you all the inside scoop on what it means to be a NAWO mentor and potentially joining us for the 2025 program. Just a quick shout out as well to Madeline Cooper from NAWO Events Manager, who is providing tech support today, and a couple of our other colleagues along for the ride. I would like to start with acknowledging where the country that I'm joining you from today. So I'm actually in Kurabup, which is in Menang, Pibbleman, Noongar Budja, Great Southern Western Australia. I'd like to pay my respects to elders past and present for their enduring custodianship of the lands and waters in which I get to live, work and play. I'd like to acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. If you would like to add the country that you're joining from today, if you know in the chat, please feel free. And I just want to say a quick thing about this image in front of you. Kiaraka from an artist, Narelle Osborne, was commissioned for NAWO as part of our Reconciliation Action Plan. And the left-hand side depicts a picture of NAWO's journey of supporting women through operations. And the little orange dashes along the side are women sort of along that journey. And the other elements all sort of coming together. The byline being Australia as a whole, from its land to its people, is diverse and has many layers. Speaking of diversity, with NAWO, you're in great company. So we are now, I believe, 94 corporate members strong, alongside individual members, of course, alongside great organisations such as Amazon, Bunnings, Qantas. You might see your own workplace pictured here in the logos in front. It's wonderful to have so many organisations committed to this journey around seeing gender diversity and balance at every level in operations and continuing to support us and helping us to support you in continuing that journey here in Australia. What are we covering today? So a quick overview of the NAWO Mentoring Program. I'm going to discuss a little bit about traits of a NAWO mentor, the program structure. I'm going to talk a little bit about sponsorship and mentoring and a bit of what the difference is between the two, but also how we like to support both, what the time commitment is being involved. And also we're going to do a short, there's a 3-minute or so video of an interview with two of our, one's still a current mentor actually, and one's a former mentor, talking a bit about their experience within the program. And finally, we'll have time for questions and answers, and really happy for people to come off mute to ask those questions or jot things down in the chat. With that, I think let's get started. So traits of a NAWO mentor. What we're looking for in wonderful operational leaders who are keen to join us as mentors is a proven track record in operations leadership, consistently role modelling inclusive leadership. They can authentically share their own experience. So part of the, and this comes up, I think, in the interview video later, it really is a two-way relationship, or if you're a group mentor, a bit of a multi-way relationship. As a mentor, you can get an awful lot out of hearing the experiences and stories and aspirations of your mentees, just as much as we really invite you to share your own experience and lived expertise with your mentees going forward. Be an active advocate for gender balance in operations. So gender balance for us at NAWO means 40-40-20. At all levels, so at least 40% women, at least 40% men, 20% in the grey area, across all levels, particularly within leadership and where key operational decisions are made. And finally, be part of the NAWO network. So if your organisation is a corporate member, one of those wonderful organisations on that slide earlier, fantastic. Otherwise, you can also be an individual member of NAWO. want to move on to our learning priorities. So this is sort of the framework that's set up around the mentoring program, particularly for people who are running the circle mentees, that follows sort of this format. And all of our resources within the NAWO Mentoring Resources portal align with these 5 key learning principles. So around building and leading diverse teams, it's around understanding and managing bias. How do you form diverse teams? How do you effectively manage them? Giving and receiving feedback. I know we've got mentees, particularly if they're coming into their first leadership role, often have a bit of a struggle around how do I give constructive feedback? How do I have difficult conversations that don't derail my staff's or myself's progress, but actually, lead us forward into continuous improvement, and facilitating to leverage diversity where you can. Business and technical acumen. So whilst our mentees come across a really broad range of organisations and industries, and when we're talking technical acumen, you might not have the technical knowledge around their particular role, say they're mineral processing or something. That's not what we're looking for in our mentors. What we are looking for, though, is for them to help them build around those more ubiquitous and sort of transferable skills. So being able to lead and work creatively and with innovation, being able to measure, to look at impact, to be able to document effectively how their efficiency and progress and productivity. How can they partner across different businesses, project management more broadly, and of course, problem solving, along with that creativity and innovation. How can you actually be a person that's solutions focused as opposed to perpetuating or focusing on the problem. Number 3 is around influence and negotiation. So those communication skills, but also setting, our mentees setting themselves up. Some people like to think of it as their personal brand or their professional brand. How are they showing up in the workplace? How are they presenting themselves in the workplace? And how are they setting themselves up for success to grow their influence and their ability to negotiate favourable outcomes? So negotiating for win-wins, identifying and influencing key stakeholders, and communicating for influence. Number 4, around maximising their effectiveness. I think everybody in leadership has either got a set of wonderful tools that they swear by around project management, time management, how do they, digital communications, all of these bits and pieces that make their life easier and more bang for buck, more efficient. We love our mentors sharing those with our mentees, and of course the mentees will have a bunch of those things as well. How do they increase their self-efficacy? How do they look towards goal setting and being, goal-oriented, getting that growth mindset going on? How do they grow meaningful networks and connections, both within their organisation, but also more broadly? And finally, because I think this really is important around maximising effectiveness, their own well-being. You might have noticed here in Australia, yesterday, the right to disconnect legally just came into force. This idea of being able to actually switch off from your job, which I know a lot of people in our industry struggle with, and with, the apps and everything's on your smartphone and people working from home like myself, the barriers between home life and work life are incredibly blurred. So how do we support our mentees and fellow colleagues within operations to really navigate that space of having confident boundaries and being able to take care of themselves when they need to? And finally, adaptive and courageous leadership. So we are looking for the bold, people who can support others around their self-awareness and authenticity, a lot of sort of reflexive practice, being able to reflect on how they show up in the world, how this affects other people, how this either benefits them or not. Looking forward to leadership vision and legacy. What sort of impact are you wanting to leave? What sort of story are you wanting to leave? behind you once you've finished either your career in general or in the particular organisation or role that you're working in. How can you take decisive action? Have those courageous conversations, not only about performance and that sort of feedback loop, but also within the organisation more broadly, bringing up ideas, looking to move things forward or change direction. And finally, around building trust as a leader as well, so that you get the most out of the people that you work with. So those are our 5 key learning priorities. As I said, we've got a lot of resources at the online portal that support sort of all of these streams to then support our mentees in going through this journey. Speaking of mentees, these are the 3 formats that we run our mentoring program in. One is the mentoring circles. They are for women or people who are non-binary but feel most comfortable in women-oriented spaces, and they're working within operations. The circles consist of 4 to 6 women, and they're usually emerging or mid-career level. They're aspiring to leadership in executive roles or senior leadership within the next 2 to 5 years. These sessions are provided sort of more structure around. So those 5 key learning priorities, there's materials that underpin all of them, plus a goal setting session at the beginning and a sponsorship session at the end. So there's a total of 7 sessions, all approximately 90 minutes, and run over the period of time from mid-February in our launch next year through to the end of October. We generally have our more experienced mentors, so people who have mentored at least once before, leading our mentoring circles, and primarily that's because there's a bit more admin and logistics around trying to manage the operational timetables and availability and engagement of 4 to 6 people than there is one-on-one. So on the one to, I might just jump the middle column for a sec, move over to the one-on-one mentoring. So this is what it says on the box: 1 mentor, 1 mentee. And the individual, the mentee, can have any function within an operational business. So they might be a grad or things. They might actually be moving into retirement. They can have any role or career level, and the primary motivation is more around a desire for personal and professional growth. So what you'll find in those relationships is you have all the resources of the 5 key learning priorities to draw upon, but most likely in that first goal setting session, you're going to have a conversation about what they specifically are looking for out of the relationship, and will tailor your sessions to that. So some people are looking to address particular challenges, like they have just returned from parental leave. How can they navigate being, in operations and this new huge part of their life as a parent as well? Or they might be for their first ever leadership role. They've just stepped into it, or they're looking to go for it. There's a promotion opportunity or development opportunity coming up. How do you set them up? How do they set themselves up for success in that leadership role? Or how can you support them to set up their professional brand, their influence, their way of being able to articulate their strengths and the like to leadership, so that they can go for that first leadership role? Scenarios like that. And instead of the 7 sessions overall, there's just a minimum. Lots of our mentors do more, but there's a minimum of 4 mentoring sessions of 1 hour duration each. And again, that's over the same time periods between mid-February and end of October. The middle column, our NAWO GEM, or Gender Equality Men program, was piloted this year, and it was a very new direction for NAWO. This is around groups of 4 to 6 men, so male leaders who are working in operations, mid-career or senior leaders, who are aspiring to support gender balance and equality in their business. So they're already on board with the mission. They want to know the how to do gender balance equality. How can they leverage their position, their influence, their roles in their organisations to drive gender equality and workplace equality and respect more efficiently and ubiquitously, I guess, through their organisations. So we piloted it this year. A total of 20 men from across 8 different operational organisations have participated. This part of the program, NAWO is run in partnership with Our Watch, which is the national leader in the primary prevention of violence against women. And their workplaces team provide, as you can see in the bottom there, 7 info sessions of 45 minutes. So the NAWO session actually has, I guess, a bit of a learning component to it too, a bit of an information sharing component. And then the groups also go away with their mentors in the same sort of circles, like our mentoring circles format of 7 mentoring circles of 90 minutes. So we're really excited to be running this, out of its pilot phase and into its first sort of official formal year. And if you have men in your organisations that you feel might be interested in that program, please do shoulder tap them. And conversely, we, of course, are looking for mentors who would be interested in upskilling in this space and guiding groups of men on that journey. So that's the formats of how we run the program. I want to touch a little bit on sponsorship. Can I get either someone, feel free to come off mute or type in the chat. Has anybody been sponsored or sponsored somebody else in the organisation? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe if I explain more about, Suzanne?
Yep. Hello, everyone. I'm Suzanne from Simplot. Yes, I have sponsored a couple of people. I think it's probably what you're talking about, but it might be slightly different. But yeah, more than sort of started as a mentor and then have sort of sponsored their career and advocate for them, in various forums, finding opportunities, promoting them, linking them with others through the business and sort of really championing their career is how I think about it.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Wonderful. Thank you, Suzanne. I can see Angela has posted in the chat that has been both, so has been sponsored and has sponsored. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for sharing that, because that's exactly what we're talking about. The I guess the Harvard Business Review language is a strategic and proactive relationship developed between a senior leader and a high potential team member. The senior leader sponsors the high potential individual by providing tactical counsel, access to power networks, and advocating on their behalf, gaining them access and exposure to high profile projects and promotional opportunities within the organisation. The quote that I most like to use is the one at the bottom, is while a mentor is someone who has the knowledge and will share it with you, a sponsor is a person who has power and will use it for you. So to clarify, I'm not asking you to be sponsors for your mentees. But one thing we are trying to get our mentees to do is to learn how to access sponsorship within their organisations. So how do they identify who the leaders are in their organisation that they can start building a relationship with, can make sure are aware of their work, aware of their career aspirations, and they can start moving towards, an ask around, this is where I want to go, and this is how I really think you would be able to help me on that journey. So the final session that we ask our mentors and mentees to have, both in the circles and one-on-one, is our mentees doing about a 5-minute presentation where they've invited their potential sponsor or manager along to the session. And it's a fairly loose format. It's for them to say, this is what I've gotten out of the program. This is where I've decided I want to go with my career. This is how I feel you can help me, and I'm asking for your support. And it's a lot of our mentees find it incredibly uncomfortable. We hope by that time in the program that they've started to get a bit of that confidence going, that they're ready for it. We have no problems with pushing people into areas of discomfort where they will grow. We don't push people into areas where they're going to be traumatized. There's a limit. But we do want to see, as much as we can, our mentees not only taking advantage of the wonderful opportunity that is mentorship, but being able to start to self-access sponsorship as well. What does this all look like for mentors from a time commitment perspective? So applications are now open. They opened last week. All applications are going to close on the 20th of October. That's for both mentors and mentees. Then what actually happens, and I guess is the highlight really of the NAWO Mentoring Program, is something we're very proud of, is that we manually hand match all of our mentor and mentee relationships. So if you don't hear from me or see me online, much between end of October and December, that's because I'm sitting with spreadsheets, trying to match up a few hundred people. It's a wonderful job though, just requires lots of pots of tea. So we do manually go through both for the circles and for the one-on-one, matching up what have the mentees put in their application as to their level of experience, the industry they work in, their career stage, what they're looking for, versus what has the mentor put in their application about what their interests are, what they're passionate about, what their experience is, and what they have to offer. So we go through that process through the latter half of this year. Before everyone goes on sort of that wonderful end of year, New Year's, Christmas, Hanukkah, etc. holiday, you'll get an update as to where the process is at. And in January, you'll receive a matching email. So I'll always send mentors an email first saying, this is who I think is the best match for you this year, either the one person or the group, with all of their profiles, and look for you to either say, yes, that's who I want to invest my time and energy in for the next year, or not quite right, because of XYZ, can you go and do a redo? So we go through that process in sort of the end of the year, and in January, I'll do the warm introduction between yourself and your mentee or mentees. And 15th of February, we have our online launch. So to clarify on, I realize I haven't put in here around virtual versus in person. You are very welcome to meet with your mentee or mentees in person if you so choose. Since COVID, the program moved fully online into the virtual space. And one thing that we found fantastic about that was it allowed us for better matches that didn't rely on geography. We could pull, mentors and mentees from across the country. We even have some internationally as well who like to join the program, to make sure that we're getting best fit. And it also meant a lot of our regional and remote people in Australia were able to participate as well, whereas previously they wouldn't have been able to. So predominantly we're online, but we have no problem with getting together, coffee catch-ups, however you want to meet and connect is very welcome. After the launch on the 15th of February, which is virtual, you have your mentoring sessions between that time and the end of October. There's a mid-program check-in event in July. Again, that'll be virtual. We'll have some speakers, we'll have some fun. We will be checking in with you monthly via a survey as well, just to make sure that we're across, that your mentees are engaging, that you don't need any additional support, or if you do need additional support, we are here, and make sure that we're staying on track. We finish all sessions by the 31st of October, and then in November, mid-November, we do have a in-person and live streamed end of year celebration. So last year that was in Sydney, this year it's in Melbourne, and we officially welcome both new mentors and also the mentees from that year into our mentoring alumni, which is, we like to think, is a pretty exclusive kind of group of people, although admittedly there's over 1,200 people I think have been through the program now, so it's starting to get a little less exclusive and a little large. But it's your opportunity to continue your engagement, not only with NAWO, of course, more broadly, but also with participants in the program, meet others who have gone before, and access some more exclusive opportunities that we only offer to our alumni. Before I jump into our little interview, video. Are there any questions at this point? Again, we're a small enough-ish group. I think if people want to come off mute or type in the chat. Just give people a moment to think. Either stunned silence and I've bewildered everyone, or I've answered every possible question.
I do actually have
Yep.
a long-term holiday planned next year from April, May, June, but if it's 4 sessions, you could still fit that in around that February to October.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
that'd be fine. That say wouldn't work for the group sessions, but for the one-on-one, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Can I ask, is it an exciting holiday?
Yeah, it's overseas, so yeah, it's an exciting one. Europe. Oh,
gorgeous. Okay. If you need a baggage handler or something, let me know.
Got it.
Feel free to keep typing in the chat if a question comes to you. Oh, and of course, I have a question. Oh no. Oh, Lou, I didn't see you come on. Could you come off mute for a second? Just say hi. Louise Ween is CEO of NAWO, has just written in the chat. The work we're doing in regard to sponsorship in the mentoring program is another prompt that aligns with action we are taking to explore the important role of sponsorship in balancing gender in operations. We know there may be need for more structured or conscious sponsorship action to be taken and more aware of bias that may be playing out in how leaders currently initiate sponsorship behaviour. Oh, technical difficulties with audio. Okay. Appreciate the wave. Thanks, Lou. This interview, so we conducted this a couple of weeks ago online with Jen Balding and Rebecca Stenhouse. For a bit of history, Jen was Rebecca's mentor back in, I want to say 2019. That's right. I think so. Back a few years ago when Rebecca was transitioning from being a lawyer, of all things, into operations. And Jen was already a CEO. And just in the last couple of months, Rebecca has now been promoted herself into a CEO role. And we brought them together to have a little bit of a chat about their experience in the program and what they got out of it so we could share it with you. It's about 3 minutes long, so not too long. And Madeline, if you could pop it on for us, please.
My name is Jen Balding. I'm the CEO of a healthcare and community nursing business. We're currently named Programmed Health Professionals and Programmed Care in the market, but very excitingly, we have changed ownership in the last couple of months and we've joined forces with a private equity specialist healthcare investment firm. So we're now part of a much larger and national healthcare business specialising in disability services, veterans and aged care and community nursing. So it's a terrific time to be part of that industry and with lots of growth opportunity ahead of us.
My name is Rebecca Stenhouse. I'm CEO of the Australian Motoring Services Group. AMS is a joint venture of all of the automobile clubs, so RACV, NRMA, RAQ, and every single motoring club around those large ones around Australia. We're quite unique in that sense. So we provide, I guess, sort of two parts. Sort of operate as a wholesale arm for those businesses to provide roadside to OEMs, for example, and also a procurement arm to be able to get the benefits of scale for them in batteries and EV charging and things like that. That they couldn't do as a state-based organisation. So really unique, but it means we're operating across travel insurance industry, rewards, EV charging, roadside and batteries. So really diverse group of businesses and industries in which we operate in, which is super interesting, particularly in the current world of mobility and how that's evolving over time.
So it's not just a one-way relationship in any sense of mentor imparting wisdom to mentee. It's nothing like that at all. It's actually a two-way relationship and a conversation where you both have things to give and you both have things that you gain from the experience. And that was really quite profound for me, both in terms of the abilities of the women I've worked with, and then the different industry perspectives they brought as well, and that kind of really rich learning environment that everyone has, because you get people coming from, manufacturing, industrial, trading industries, staffing, human services, a whole really wide range of industries that have different challenges. So yeah, everyone learns something from the experience. That's a value.
Going back to when I first joined the NAWO Mentoring Program, I was in the midst of transitioning. I was a corporate lawyer by trade, and I was making the jump into working in I think it was operations. Even though I was at a transition stage in my career, it came at a really great time. Really to have that mentorship, clearly from another female who was a CEO at the time, and it's changing, but you don't have many role models, and having that conversation and understanding that, at the time Jen was normal, lovely, highly, very brilliant, but completely relatable, and that gives you confidence that it can be done, and to give you confidence to back yourself. And I've become a mentor myself at NAWO. I was really enjoyed listening to Jen talking about her journey with that, because I was the same. The first, like my mentoring circle at the moment, I was blown away by the talent, and I thought exactly the same. I thought, God, how am I going to add value to this group? But it really is about facilitating the learning from each other, and as Jen said, just the curiosity and the sharing of ideas, and it gives me real kind of hope, and makes me feel great to see the future of female talent that's coming through the pipeline, and the confidence with which they're doing that is incredibly exciting.
Thank you. And apologies for anyone who couldn't see that. I know Lisa's going to sign in again, see if it sorts it. We will send through after this the recording of this session along with the slides. So if there's anything you missed or anything you want to refer back to, it will all be there in your inbox. Finally, so what's next steps? Just to recap, applications are open. You can register via our website, nawo.org.au/mentoring, or of course we'll send you the link along with the recording today. The matching process happens in that November-December period, and before the end of December, you'll receive an email confirming sort of where the registration's all at, both for says mentees there. We'll email mentors as well. Make sure you're all across before you go on a break. By the end of January, we would have made confirmed those matches and made those warm introductions, so you can connect with your mentee and talk about how you want to work together. Whether you want to, Zoom, are you going to have a WhatsApp group between you? How often? When do you want your first meeting, etc. And 15th of February, we will kick off with our virtual event on the 15th of Feb to launch and welcome everybody into the program. Now, I'm open to any questions. Madeline's put in there, is the one application form for both mentees and mentors? Yes. And it's available to the link. Thanks for sharing that. Are there any questions? I might have actually given some of you time back in your day, because I know we gave a full hour to today. I didn't anticipate we would need a whole hour, but I thought people wouldn't mind getting an extra period of time to go have a cuppa, have some meeting-free time. If you don't have any questions now, obviously that's absolutely fine. Feel free to, I might just put, or Madeline, can you just put the mentoring email in the chat as well, please, from that slide? If you, like me, wake up at 3 a.m. and that's when you have that question that you wanted to ask, I won't respond at that time, but do feel free to email me at mentoring@nawo.org.au, and I will get back to you during some more reasonable Western States work hours. Are there any questions that anyone has right now, though, either in the chat or to come off mute? Renee, what does support look like from NAWO on any issues? Support looks mostly like me, but it also looks like other mentors. So when you join the program, we will link you into the LinkedIn group called Mentoring Connect with all of the current mentors and mentees in the program. So we hope to use that to broaden your network a bit as well. It's not just mentees that get to have that opportunity, but also our established and more experienced mentors are in that space, and they're really happy to share their insights, their tips and tricks, what really works to support you going through. Of course, I'm the stopgap as well. I am more than happy to have a chat with you, talk through any issues, provide any additional resources or support as you need, to make sure that you're getting the most out of this partnership as well, and that your mentoring circles or partnerships are a success. Is there anything else from the floor today? Do you follow a structured program in line with 5 areas or more informal? So for the circles, you follow a more structured program along the 5 priorities. That said, you might have, the circle might also come together and sort of say, we actually really need help with X or Y. And of course, you can have those discussions and support those discussions. I think the beautiful thing about the circles is that you, and as a mentor one-on-one, you don't have to be the font of all knowledge either. But the fact that you can have this peer mentoring relationships going on as well, where people are bringing in their diverse ideas and experiences, is incredibly helpful. For the one-on-one, you're much more informal around the mentee's needs. So your first session, your goal setting session, is about you talking about what that is. They will draft up in collaboration with you a development plan, and you'll work out how you work together going forward. You do need to register. So this is the info session, but then if you fill out the form that will send you the link on the website, we do need to collect sort of more information from you than just attending the session, because it's part of that bespoke matching process. I need to know a lot more about you so that I can make sure I get the best possible match with your mentees. And Lou's just put in there, yes, if there's any issues that comes up during the mentoring, please reach out to myself or others in the team ASAP. It doesn't happen often, but it's something we really want everyone to get the best possible experience out of that program, yourselves and the mentees as well. So if a mentee's not being responsive, responding to communications, or something's happened in your life and you actually need to step away or manage your time around the mentoring program, anything like that, please just reach out as soon as you can, and we're here to help. Any other questions for today?
Thanks so much. That's brilliant.
Well, you're welcome. So
have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Have a great afternoon.
Bye. Thank you. You too.